It's been 6 years since the infamous COVID lockdowns, where the entire country shut down over fear of getting sick because of this so-called unstoppable virus with no known cure, so deadly. They had to shove everybody in their basements. First, it was for 14 days. Then it became 14 months. And if some unscrupulous politicians had their way, it would have been 14 years. Resident Evil 9 Requiem kind of has some lessons. There are those who will exploit nature to create things they shouldn't be doing, playing God, for instance. Resident Evil, you're battling an evil corporation who created deadly viruses that turn people into zombies, ultimately killing them. We had, unfortunately, some health officials in our country that went rogue and funded gain-of-function research in China, even after they were told not to by President Obama. And the people who are doing this funding, who should be brought up on genocide charges for as far as I'm concerned. Anthony Fauci, Deborah Birx, who else? They will never face justice because they were given a pardon, are extremely corrupt and very senile, and it may have been somebody that was portrayed by an actor, President Biden. Fauci misused science. For who knows what. Maybe he was trying to prevent a further catastrophe. Unfortunately, the virus escaped from this lab, infected millions of people, killed millions of people. With all this death and destruction, we sadly had a number of government officials look at it as an opportunity to exploit, to gain wealth, to gain power, all the while trampling on the civil rights of Americans and pretty much anybody in the entire world. Media outlets and social media companies censoring anybody who dared question the narrative. Masks were supposed to protect you from getting a virus. Standing 6 feet away from someone was supposed to protect you from getting a virus. The only treatment available to stop the virus was a vaccine. Idiots like dumb Cluck Zuck, Mark Zuckerberg, Susan Iowowski, or whoever she was. The CEOs of Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Google wanted only one narrative to be expressed. Period. No alternative treatments allowed. No questioning of masks wearing. No question about this social distancing nonsense. Only for years later, Fauci to admit that it just kind of happened. And admitting that what we conservatives, common sense people, have been saying all along, we were right. But how dare you say it? Because we, the elitists, the politicians, the social media oligarchs, oligarchs. They wanted to control everything, all speech, which was blatantly unconstitutional. And they were doing it because we talk about umbrella. Pfizer is your modern day umbrella. Billions of dollars being made off of vaccines. It was their cash cow. As time wore on, we find out how many people were that vaccine was not exactly 100% safe and caused dangerous side effects. People died of heart attacks shortly after taking that vaccine. Spike proteins messed up people badly. But how dare you try for a different treatment? It's our way. And furthermore, the zealots running around, yeah, they're only practicing. They said, follow the science, follow the science. Yeah, what science are you following? Medical science? No, you weren't. Not only were you not following medical science, the only science you were following was political science. For your own personal enrichment. And for what? It didn't slow the spread down one little bit. Communists wrecked. Lost so many billions of dollars were lost. Lives ruined. Livelihoods ruined. And in the end, so much of it wasn't even necessary. The kids were screwed the worst. Yeah, homeschooling, I would have done it if I was a kid. But kids' education took a major hit, and they're still trying to catch up for not being in the classroom. Meanwhile, the politicians were just running around. They preached rules for thee, but not for me. And they cheated like hell. Gavin Newsom cheated like hell. Richard Whitmer cheated like hell. J.B. Pritzker, he cheated too. And the mayors. And the governor, yes, the mayors too, cheated like hell. Made rules for other people. Meanwhile, they had their health officials gaslighting people like crazy. Anybody who dared question what they were saying. And they needed to be questioned because so many of them were lying. Not about the virus existing, but how to deal with it. And all the people running around, the ones that were screaming 6 feet and put your mask on and violently assaulting people who didn't have a mask on. So many of those people, apologies to the masses for how they conducted themselves. They're not the least bit sorry about what they did. I created a video, an April Fool's video, mocking mask wearing, using the video game Lethal Enforcers 2. One individual decided to go ape crap when I posted that. He also posted pictures on Twitter of me not wearing a mask on video. You think I forgot about that? I know you are. I know who you are. I haven't forgotten about that. You like running your mouth. I know several people that want to pop you in the mouth. A ton of people, apologies for your behavior. Unfortunately for you, you're pretty much a pariah in the gaming scene now. Bitter that you didn't win Gamer of the Year. Yeah, I'm glad you never got it. The way you acted. A lot of arcades closed in the gaming scene. Yeah, there were several that believed, oh, everybody was going to be at home for years and you're watching all these streaming services, playing video games out the wazoo, never going into the office again. I absolutely hated working from home. I went into the office as much as possible during the pandemic. And during the pandemic, yes, as soon as Galapagos Arcade opened, I went back up there. Almost every other week, I went up there to chase the Gamer of the Year award. Because I was not going to stay home and cower to a virus. I'm smart enough to take my vitamins, not overly stock up on toilet paper. Build my immune system. Whenever I was exposed to somebody who had COVID, I took my vitamins. Yeah, I did isolate myself. The worst I got was just a mere common cold. And yes, there's been so many misdiagnoses of the disease. They lumped all the flu viruses and all the common cold viruses with COVID. Because they had to inflate the numbers to justify keeping the country locked down fully. Politicians were following political science and they were exploiting it for their own personal enrichment, for their own power grab. Because that is the prime directive with these people. Yeah, the first 4 years of COVID were a bloody mess. It took years to recover. We're not fully recovered, unfortunately. People who unleash this on the world, yeah, China's not our friend. China is our enemy. They're looking at invading Taiwan. I don't think we're going to allow that to happen, whether they like it or not. And yeah, the American people may just want China to take Taiwan, but I think they should think twice after looking at Iran, Venezuela, and soon to be Cuba. But accountability needs to come. Unfortunately, people who lost their jobs because they wouldn't take the shot or wouldn't wear a mask, they sued their former employers. They won. They won big bucks. Those employers had to either rehire them and give them full back pay for all the weeks that they were out of the job. But accountability needs to come for the people who created this thing in the first place and unleashed it on the world. Pardon or not, the people who did this to us, all the friends, all the relatives we lost due to the carelessness and the greed of a few. Accountability needs to come. People who did this need to be punished, including being tried for genocide. In the meantime, yeah, the shadow of yet another variant running around. Anybody who calls for a lockdown, absolutely fight it tooth and nail. Do not ever agree to lockdown again. It must never, ever be allowed to happen again. Never again. No lockdowns. Never, ever, ever again.